Respectful.
All right, let's go through this, okay? Let's leave aside whether anything or not happened. Let's just say everything happened, right? So here is what it is. The old bag gets old. I get the 15-year-old, hot, whatever you want to say, 7, 8 for me, 10, chick, to suck my dick happily, get rid of the old bag. She gets mad, takes the kids on her side.
It opened twice.
Right?
Shut up.
As like trolls herself into taking care of my kids, so me and my hot daughter can fuck with impunity because it's the state of Rhode Island. Go on YouTube. I can do whatever I want, and I'm the Mac Daddy. Isn't that the problem with you faggots? You resent it. How am I not the ultimate baller? And old man, I don't have to work out. I don't need money.
Base dad.
I get pussy whenever I want it, and I also convince this piece of ass that it's her fault and she's not doing a good enough job. And that's not what your guys' problem is?
Okay.
Daddy issues.
This worked out so well.
And this nigga goes, yeah, he fucks her, then he beats her. Yeah, that's the fantasy of being a man. I fuck her, I beat her, and she brings me spaghetti. And she's sorry for all of it. Yeah. Yeah, men can do that. I don't. But I don't fucking care. If you want to fantasize about that, I get why you're mad.
If that's the
Dad
fantasy,
pulls all the pussy in the house. And
if that's the fantasy, he wins. If that's the allegation, he wins. If it's not
and
true,
you
then
know all your sisters
Either
and
way.
all your whatever, all the Gen Z girls go, ooh, gross, but they'd like to sniff around just enough to get raped, beaten, and turned into my sex slaves too. Because you're not very fucking interesting, Lalo.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, unmute, my friend.
Hey, what's up?
What's up? Hey guys, we're live. That was the Lalo clip. We've played that before. That's from Lalo's channel. Ben claims that diatribe, as we all know, is a joke. But I think it's a good start to describe just how disgusting Ben is.
Classic.
I don't think any father should or would joke about having sex with his daughter. And I think anytime Grace Simps, you guys are going to hear our dog barking throughout the night, kind of try to cover up for Ben. There's always these obvious just clips that are just completely, you can't defend them in any way. So anyway, we have a couple things we want to talk about tonight. And one of them is Amelia's dealing with the dog. We still haven't figured out how to deal with our husky. But this is a screenshot that is from Grace's Discord. It was in the general. It wasn't like a secret. Grace was recently. Ben has been catfished for like the 5th time by a woman who called herself Ashley, who claimed to be from Texas. Ben openly basically said that this Ashley person was into incest and had done stuff with her brothers. And in this screenshot that we're seeing, Grace is talking about how, she thinks everything's basically, this is all basically a catfish. And she says, I just don't want him, meaning Ben, to keep getting baited like he's manic right now or something. He literally told me a few days ago, Grace, just tell her, meaning the catfish, we've done stuff, meaning sexual, incestual stuff, so that she feels more comfortable. She's a lot nicer than you, and she has trouble with incest because of her brother thing. And I was like, N-word, that's weird, but okay. Because apparently the last girl who had incest fantasies, he told her he wasn't that into it and she dropped him. He's talking about another catfish that Ben's talked about who talked to him about weird incest stuff. And a person says, but okay, like, why would you say okay to that? Grace says, because He made me feel bad because he said I'm so uptight and I'm cock blocking him. And I was like, okay, I don't want to make it seem like I don't want you to get pussy, fucking retard. She did it. She did seem real though. So again, I'm sure if Ben and Grace were here, they would say, Ben would just say like, oh, I was telling Grace to make that up. So let's just say that's true. He just wants his daughter to talk to the woman that he's wants to fuck, who's a catfish, and convince the woman that they did stuff. Ben wants his
for
daughter
her to feel comfortable. Yeah.
Right. Ben wants his 21-year-old daughter to talk to a random internet person about supposedly from their end, fake incest. What I don't. That seems insane.
Yeah. Like role playing, they can't role play. They're father daughter, so it's ridiculous. Like,
right. So either,
what's there to admit? Either like.
So either the alleged incest didn't happen or did happen. That's not even what we're talking about here. What we're saying is we know for sure Ben told Grace to speak about incest as if it did happen to get off a creepy, psychotic woman who's also a catfish. I just think that's just not a normal thing or a good thing that a father would do. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
So let's,
disturbing.
So let's go to a clip of me talking to Grace a couple days ago, and Grace actually just talks more about this catfish. Talking about Ashley on stream at all or no?
Like, yeah, Ashley, the girl that he went to go to Texas for, is just a fucking catfish, and I told him it was a catfish, and he's like, oh no, Grace, you need to talk to her, you need to be more sexually expressive because she's down with sex and you're not, and she told me about how she had incest with her brothers. Nigga, she was baiting you, you stupid fat old nigga, you stupid!
Right.
Retard! And you're gonna sit there and make me feel bad. Oh, you're cock blocking me, Grace. Nigga, I don't want your dick. I don't want your stinky dick, your stinky balls, your stinky ass, your big fat stupid belly. I don't want none of that. I'm just trying to protect you from being baited by the goddamn fifth fucking catfish in a row, you fucking retard!
He doesn't make you feel. You feel of your own feelings. And then the impetus comes from him, but you choose.
I mean, ignore whatever that. Oh my god! I know. I'm like. Okay, so Grace went on a rope diatribe, as I would call them, but the point is, she's saying, "Look, I don't want you, Dad. I'm not cockwalking you. I just think." She calls him gross, which at the time, I think we all get in these moments where like, oh, Grace is getting it.
Yeah, she's saying the truth.
She's
about
talking
her
about
dad.
how disgusting her dad is, and she fucking hates this shit. And then,
but it's just a reaction, or that's what she wants to make it seem like.
Right. Like he'll always come back to Grace. And Grace will always come back to him. So here, I guess we could it's my dog. We could look at the clip one more time.
I actually said that I didn't do that.
No, I heard.
Seem like have you talked about Ashley on stream at all or no? Like,
yeah, Ashley, the girl that he went to go to Texas for, is just a fucking catfish, and I told him it was a catfish, and he's like, oh no, Grace, you need to talk to her, you need to be more sexually expressive because she's down with sex and you're not, and she...
So he's saying
there's the comparison thing, which is extremely gross and inappropriate, to compare somebody with your daughter and saying like, oh, well, she's more sexually comfortable, you should be more like her.
Right, that she needs to be more sexually expressive. Grace is he's already comparing Grace. He's saying this woman is sexually expressive, you're not. And by the way, when he's talking about sexually expressive, he's talking about a catfish talking to him about incest.
So I guess to be comfortable sexually, you're like just more down to express how into and you're more honest about how into incest you really are or something, even though that's like all Ben's stuff. Like it seems like he's the common ground of that kind of like why does he look for that, and why does he want her to say that stuff?
Right. If this is disgusting to Ben, why does he engage in it? If someone says something to him and he's disgusted by incest, then should he walk away from it? Wouldn't he walk away
Wouldn't
from it
you want to never bring that up on your own?
with your daughter?
Yeah.
Also, so not only is he engaging in the incest stuff with the catfish, but he's bringing Grace into it. And we're not talking about whether the alleged incest actually happened between them. We're saying for sure Ben is engaging with fantasies of incest with a catfish and then wanting Grace to engage in fantasies of incest with the catfish. How is that healthy father-daughter behavior? If we were talking to Ben and Grace, I don't know, what would they say? Ben would just say, "Oh, I'm looking for anyone, so I'm desperate." Blah. It just whatever bullshit cope.
Told me about how she had incest with her brothers. Nigga, she was baiting you, you stupid fat old nigga! You stupid!
Right.
Retard! And you're gonna sit there and make me feel bad. Oh, you're cockblocking me, Grace. Nigga, I don't want your dick. I don't want your stinky dick.
I mean, anyway, I'm glad she says that about Ben. I'm glad but I mean, she's trying to talk to him and say, like, I don't want to like cock block you or whatever, which is weird. But yeah.
Random, but do you have the tweet that Ben made, or is that gone?
Which one?
About the catfish before he found out.
I would have to probably find it on the computer and then upload it.
It's all good.
I mean, I could read it or something, but let's see. I don't know. Okay, so this was just kind of like an intro to everything. We're gonna get into. We're not making you guys read a book in this one. No books, but this is where the small amount of viewers are gonna dwindle probably. But we're gonna be looking at a TEDx talk of a woman who was groomed and raped by a pedophile when she was a teenager, talk about this in her opinion and others, the 6 stages of grooming. And we watched this video last night and we felt that there was a lot of similarities with the things that Grace and Ben have told us about Grace's life starting in 2018, when supposedly everything went crazy and all the allegations began. So we're just going to go through what she says, and it's from a study, are the 6 stages of grooming. And we're going to kind of talk about our opinions. We're not going to bring up clips to prove everything. We're just going to express things that over the last year, Grace has told people. Okay. And so it's going to be a little loose. So let's do it. So if I have, so there's 6 phases of grooming. There's targeting, gaining trust, filling a need, isolating, sexualizing, and maintaining control. So we'll let this victim talk about it, and then we'll kind of give our opinion.
Processing my trauma. The following are the 6 stages of grooming, which together paint a picture of how predators drive abuse. The first phase is targeting, that is, identifying a vulnerable individual. It goes without saying that children are the easiest targets. By definition, all children and adolescents are vulnerable. It is now an extensively, scientifically evidenced fact that the human brain is not fully developed until at least age 24. And one of the slowest developing regions of the brain is the prefrontal cortex, responsible for impulse control and judgment. I was only 15 when I was targeted by a 58-year-old serial pedophile who taught at my high school. But my age was not the only factor in my vulnerability. I had also been battling anorexia for several years. When I was 14, I was hospitalised for 6 weeks. I was bedridden and tube-fed. The school staff knew that I was ill.
Okay, so this is a little background for this woman. This isn't Grace's history. We're not claiming it to be one-to-one or even about Ben or anything like that. But I'd like to say that in terms of targeting,
when did this, do you think began?
From what Grace, Ben, and everyone has said is that things began in 2018 at some point between when Grace was 15 to 16.
And Ben was like 45 or 46.
46.
Mhm.
Yes. And from my understanding, their Ethiopian restaurant had failed. Ben had been very depressed and bedbound for a while. And Grace was going to high school. But I think what's interesting is clearly when a girl is 15, 16, she's or even a guy, they're dealing with like body image issues. They're trying to find their place in the world. They're insecure. And I think the house that they were living in was pretty chaotic. Grace had been parentified. She had to talk. She had to like take care of her brothers and sisters. I don't know if you want to throw in anything.
Yeah. So the way that we've heard it, it sounds like Ben really wasn't around his kids all that much. And then like it seems like there was this huge personality shift for Ben. And so at that point, when he started giving a ton of attention to Grace, it was almost like, okay, she wanted this kind of attention and attachment with her dad already. And then finally, she gets it, and he's kind of way more engaged, way more concerned with her at that point. So I'm sure it's just a huge difference. And like, he definitely, the way that she described it, she says like, I craved attachment, I craved undivided attention, I craved a friend.
Yes.
So
all right. We'll keep playing it.
Yeah.
After I was discharged from hospital for the first time, a condition of my outpatient program was that all my meals had to be supervised by teachers on school days. On top of all this, I came from a broken home. My parents were divorced when I was only 2. And although I have never doubted that they both love me endlessly, growing up, I struggled to properly attach to either of them. Until my mid-teens, I rarely spent more than a week at a time in one house.
Okay, so I just want to, again, we already mentioned this, but Grace didn't have a super close, she said this before, a super close relationship with her dad. She barely talked to him, is what she said sometimes. All of a sudden, he's giving her a ton of attention. Courtney, I believe in a VC, said once that Ben actually moved a couch into Grace's room to sit and talk to her constantly. That's something Ben did with Courtney, where they would sit and talk in the room for hours and hours and hours.
Right.
And
so it seemed like he replaced his partner, at least who he talks to that way every single day. He replaced Courtney for Grace at that point.
Right.
So that's a lot of attention. There's a lot of time to be at the center of Ben's attention, and whatever he was trying to do at that point was intentional, trying to get Grace more attached to him.
Right.
Every 3 to 4 days, I had to pack my things in a bag and uproot. I relapsed with anorexia and was hospitalized a second time with a friend.
Sorry,
once the pedophile had learned all of these things about me after what
back
I
up,
mistook.
You missed the second step.
What
sorry.
I did? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's classic Rusty move, right? Did I?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't.
Maybe not.
Nope, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move to gaining trust.
Phase of grooming was easy for him. The next phase of grooming is gaining trust. By presenting as a friend, by feigning concern, and by offering help, predators are able to lull their targets into a false sense of security. It was during my experience of this phase that the pedophile opened up to me to make me feel like I was able to do the same.
Right. So
these are the conversations. This is all of the talking, and what were you going to say?
Right.
Sorry.
Well, what we're talking about where Ben allegedly brings the couch into Grace's room. He's all of a sudden giving her all this attention. Ben has used this story before where he was looking through Grace's phone. He was worried about her. We don't know how much of that is true, but there's like this idea that he's talking to Grace about sexual issues her friends are having, and he knows Grace is watching porn. So all of a sudden Ben's worried and he's giving her attention and she feels like she can trust him. There's this house where before mom and dad were like dealing with their own shit, they were dealing with this business that Grace had to not only work at, but take care of all these little kids, 5 other kids. And then she goes from being disconnected to her parents, at least to Ben, to a ton of attention from Ben. And he's listening to her. He's worried about her sexual issues.
She knows everything in her life at this point. So yeah, like there's some kind of trust that now at that point had allowed for full disclosure into Grace's private life. So nothing is off limits from Ben. Ben knows everything. He's allowed to know everything. Nothing is private anymore. So in that case, there is this like idea that Grace 100% trusts her dad. And I'm sure she would even say that, like, and she has said that, like, I just trusted my dad that he cared about me and he was concerned. And so at that point, I let him totally have full access to everything. And one thing that is really weird is when we hear how involved Ben was, like you said, like he knew everything about her friend's sex life because they would text Grace. So inevitably that would come up for Ben seeing, you know.
Right. That's, and then again, we don't know the full truth when he tells Destiny that he was looking through her phone. But then Grace has said she would just tell him and maybe even Courtney about her friends giving blowjobs. These are teenage girls, you know, which isn't necessarily bad for you to talk to your parents about sex. I'm not saying that, but it gets used against her. Also, Ben in the past couple months has talked about how Grace was looking at porn. She was sex sick. She was disordered and she needed help. And it's like she was able to, and then also I think, I don't know how much, and we'll never know how much Ben was telling Grace about the supposed issues in his life. You know, we don't know about that. I don't know how much of that's even been talked about.
Well, like this step seemed like gaining trust. Like that's the first thing that she said is that like I opened up and then he opened up too. So it's like a mutual thing. I'm sure did happen.
Right.
Because I mean, if anything, like he brought her into issues, maybe not at that time, but he started bringing Grace into issues of like that Ben was having, like in his marriage, about the kids and stuff. Like she was fully involved in everything.
Right.
To make me feel special, he shared details about his private life and asked questions about mine. And I answered them just as I would have any other person in a position of authority with a supposed duty of care. He soon discovered something else about me, which guaranteed to him that I was a prime target. When I was 6 years old, I was abused by an older child who asked me to undress in a closet.
Grace has never talked about being abused, although she has talked about doing sexual stuff with John.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think that's one thing that Ben has kind of extrapolated from Grace by.
Did I just say that? No. I meant to say Grace has claimed she licked John, not have sex. I meant to say sexual stuff, but she claims she licked her brother at a very young age. I think that's like not that weird behavior for kids to do.
I think it's important to point that out because I think it's something that like Ben had extrapolated to paint Grace as sexually disordered. And in that way, he's
used that,
painting that like picture of Grace to make it look like it's her fault.
Right. That Grace claims she like licked her brother or something. Like, I really don't think that's that weird. Kids do stuff to when they're curious.
It's kind
she
of
was a little kid.
Yeah, her as the initiator of some kind of
weird behavior,
incest, but it still involves incest. Like you're the perpetuator of it, or something like that.
This is what abusers do. They pick up where previous abusers have left off. This is not only to trigger targets, but to ensure against them speaking out, because doing so would
this is
phase of grooming. the pedophile well and truly cemented himself by filling a need. This phase requires an especially high level of calculation. It involves identifying a specific gap in the target's emotional support network and then playing the role that fills that gap.
All right. So Grace is a teenager that's having issues with her friends, having issues with her family. See, this is a woman talking about a teacher, but this is different because it's about a father allegedly, supposedly, we don't know, doing this.
Yeah.
But I think the way that the household worked with the kids feeling isolated from Ben, when Ben is there for Grace, kind of tells her, you're so messed up and disordered. You need me. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost like though he causes Grace anxiety and then he fixes the anxiety
Yeah.
and
I
helps
mean,
her.
in many ways, like I tried to think about like what's that essential role that Ben fills, and it's sort of like a lot of different things for Grace. One being like therapist, like what you're saying,
Mhm.
because you have total control over how she processes her trauma.
Mhm.
And to the point where it's like, even though you caused that trauma, you're able to walk somebody through a false process of their trauma. And so you have full control over the narrative. That's what we see Ben do. He does take this kind of role of many things, but it's mainly this kind of guidance counselor.
Mhm.
I mean, and he's obsessed with filling that role as father for everybody on the internet, like, and especially like any woman. He's like, I want to be a proxy father for girls to work out all of their daddy issues. Like, I think
Right.
that's an interesting weird thing that
Well, that's like a side thing. Yeah.
it's a side thing, but
Yeah.
it is like a weird
Yep.
thing that a groomer would think, because you're like, what role am I? How do I fulfill this role for vulnerable people to come to me and need me? You know?
Right. And again, if he's in Grace's room all the time, if now maybe Courtney's weirded out, maybe she was, maybe she wasn't, maybe there's starting to be friction. So that friction means Grace is possibly pushed closer to Ben. So now he's filling the need of, I'm going to look inside your fucked up head, Grace, your porn adult head. Your friends are all weird and fucked up. They're below you. You need me to be here to help you. And then they just become inseparable in that house. So maybe, we don't know. Again, this is just kind of discussing things we've heard from them, right? But
Yeah.
watching this video, Amelia and I were just staring at each other like, wow, so much connects, even if it's about a teacher and not a father. You know what I mean?
It's a lot easier, in my opinion, for a family member to do this kind of grooming because you have unlimited access and discretion from your children.
Mhm.
And a teacher is
control.
always, a teacher is always, any predator that's not related to you is always rolling the dice every time they take a chance in choosing their target and everything. It's a lot more difficult to isolate somebody you're not related to, but if that's your father, you have access to that child 24/7,
Right.
And
Right. And the household wasn't kind of a traditional normal household where like I've heard Courtney describe Ben talking to her for hours and hours and kids knocking on the door, and she'd be like, hey, can I go deal with the kids? And he'd be like, don't let them control you. You know what I mean? Like Ben's denied, he always kind of slithers around stuff like that because I've asked him about that. But like imagining Grace kind of being like, I don't have a connection with this guy. And then he's like, I'm here. I'm the person that you need, and
right.
and I don't
that must
think
have been a huge shift, like,
right.
And I think that it would just be really confusing. So I don't know. He utilized that confusion, I think.
And then I
But
don't even
just
think we brought it up. Sorry to
Mhm.
interrupt.
No, you're good.
I don't even think we brought it up, but Grace and Ben have both said that he started taking her out on like dinner dates, as they called them. I think they would tell Courtney they were going to the library, but really they would go to restaurants. and go to specifically BYOB restaurants. So I guess Ben could bring beer, maybe.
And he would get her or buy her clothes that looked like Brown
Yeah.
University clothes, so that everybody at those bars would just assume
Or
that
restaurants.
right, would just assume that he's on a date with some random girl that went to Brown. And sorry,
Well,
go
maybe
ahead.
that's his. We can't know that for sure, because from what he said to me, it was so that Grace could drink.
I know,
Right.
right.
But that's
But
your
then,
theory. That
like,
makes sense.
I only say that because of what Ava said
Mhm.
when she said that Ben admitted to this too, that Ben said to Grace and Ava, he was like, make it look like you're two girls just with me, so I look like this cool guy, like on
Yeah.
a date with two girls. I don't know. It's just
No,
something that I can
that's
see.
a
He
good
like
point.
he wants I don't know, the perception
He's the Mac
that
Daddy, as he
yeah,
would
that
say.
he's the Mac Daddy and he is with these younger girls. And I'm sure, like, you know,
So
I
for people that don't know, Ava said, and Ben agreed that this happened, that when they were at the store in Rhode Island, Ben said, hey, when we go up to the cashier, pretend that I'm like a guy you're on a date with who's taking you on a yacht. And Ava, I guess, was just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So what I can see, we don't know this for sure. There's just a theory that, maybe he was saying to Grace, look, you can drink if you dress up like a college student, but maybe to him there was something of a status thing. But the point is like he was taking Grace out. None of the other family was invited, so she's special. And I think this is another just guess, but if at the time they were having money issues, they were dumpster diving, I think going out to eat in that family might have been a huge deal on its own.
Well, it provided for Grace this very convenient escape from the reality of her life. And
Mhm.
Ben wanted to escape that more than anyone. Otherwise, like, he wouldn't have done any of this. But it did help with the grooming, because it's like, look, we don't have to live this life. We could just be different, and you can
Right.
do whatever you want. And I'm
Right.
sure that's like a part of it too. Your whole life could change if you went along with what Ben wants you to do. You
Right.
know?
Right. Here's a comment by a guy named Hans Guru, who's really smart. Hans says, I think there was also an aspect of triangulation involved, punishing Courtney by replacing her with Grace. We saw it often in videos where he would not even look at Courtney while asking Grace for an opinion. I think is what the last thing is. I mean, yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, degrading another person and that is your authority figure, like your mom.
Mhm.
That is a huge process of altering and changing Grace's perspective and her identity. So, and it works for Ben, that she becomes more authoritarian and starts believing, I'm the authority over Courtney. Courtney's an idiot, and I
Right.
can do and say whatever I
Whatever I
want in
want.
front of her. Yeah,
And
and
to
treat
her.
her. Yeah, and to her. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Sorry. Let's go back. Okay.
He then set about isolating, which makes up the fourth phase of grooming. It refers to the ways in which perpetrators drive wedges between the target and all of their genuine supporters. After they've forged an attachment, perpetrators begin slowly dissolving their target's true support networks by discrediting, mocking, and discouraging contact with others. For instance, my abuser degraded my mother, who was pregnant at the time.
Oh.
He said she was full
Yeah.
of hormones. He also ridiculed staff and fellow students and undermined my perception of my father. I remember the feeling of loneliness distinctly. I became untethered to both my loved ones and my sense of self. Once these key relationships have been successfully compromised, the attachment between an abuser and their target is strengthened.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
That's so perfect, I feel like.
It fits in with that last comment, with the triangulation thing. Definitely utilizing the family, isolating Grace from her siblings by othering them, going on this attack team
Right, and attacking Courtney, pushing Courtney away. Courtney's an idiot. You know, we've seen in videos Ben would talk about how she was use Hormaxer terms like a rotter, saying she didn't brush her teeth and that she was ugly, she was disgusting, almost like implying he had to be with Grace. But the point is Courtney is always talked down about by Ben, and
and Ben has encouraged Grace to do the same, to speak to and about her mother in the same ways.
Right, in disrespectful ways, dehumanizing ways. I mean, look if you guys watched the video Grace did yesterday where she argued with that psychologist. I didn't even like the psychologist, the stupid narcissist psychologist. I'm not even saying that lady's smart or anything, but one of the big things she was saying was how fat and ugly she was, which, you know, fine, whatever. She said the same thing about me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the internet. That's what people do. I get that too. But I think it's interesting that's always in their ammo box. Like, if you can't argue what they're saying, then tell them they look like a Lord of the Rings guy, like to me or whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I like how that lady said that the predator will begin slowly dissolving their target's true support networks by discrediting, mocking, and discouraging contact with others. So
yeah. Well, and so we know based on what Grace has said, because I've asked her, hey, what about your high school friends?
Right.
Grace's Instagram for the longest time still showed all of her friends from like 2019 pre-COVID. It seemed like she had a group of girlfriends that she really liked. And she would say things like, oh, I was above them. They were kind of losers. They were under me.
That's so sad. Yeah. That just makes me so sad thinking about whatever time that was when she was being groomed and separated from her friends like that. And the process just seemed so brutal and humiliating to be like getting Grace, like Ben getting Grace to send her friends her streams as if like that's normal, and being like, Grace, like you should be proud of these streams that you're doing. Send them to your friends and see their reaction. It's like Ben knowing that
because they would
friends
block
are
her,
going to be horrified and block her, and so it's a way of isolating her from her friends by being like, oh well, they blocked you, they're just judgmental assholes and they're beneath you anyway. You shouldn't have them as friends. They're not true friends to you.
And we just said kind of like multi-year thing, but the point I'm making is she was isolated from her friends even before COVID.
But that was happening in the midst, right?
And then during COVID, they're literally isolated from her. And then during the beginning of the YouTube arc, apparently she would send some of her last friends links and they were just discussing. So it's like year after year of him making sure that she has no connection to those friends.
It's a way to cut off like every string that she has to her real life and her real identity.
Yet, why did Grace go on? If you can go on your Instagram, I think they're still there. Why did she keep all these reels and stories of those groups, of that group of girlfriends? If she thought they were idiots and losers, why does she still hold them dear, at least, you know, on social media?
I think she must hold on to that. At least
that connection.
Well, and just even the remnant that this might be somehow temporary, or like, you know, like this was a normal time in my life. And I think for her experiencing so much loss in the past of like your innocence, you probably would hold on to anything that you could, you know. That's it. That's your childhood. That's it. You know, you have these little memories and this kind of kindling of like hope that you could get back there, you know.
Right. Oops, I missed. I wanted to get to sexualizing. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so step 5 is sexualizing.
Especially the sexualizing, which is the 5th phase. By gradually exposing children to explicit material, pedophiles normalize sex so that when physical abuse is actually initiated, it's less shocking. This adds to the self-doubt of targets as well, who, upon reflection, begin to wonder whether it was there all along, and thus their responsibility to stop it from happening. As the target, you beat yourself up for missing things. In my case, The pedophile encouraged me to watch films that glorified relationships between characters with significant age differences. One of them ended on the line, "Give me a girl at an impression."
Okay, so
Lolita.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of the big ones is Lolita. Ben still talks to Grace about Lolita. Grace loves Lolita. And again, there's a separation. I like the book Lolita. I like the movie by Kubrick about, Lolita. Sorry, the Lolita movie by Kubrick. Like, there's normal people that can like fucked up extreme stuff. I'm an example of that. I think I'm a whatever.
Well,
I'm not,
right. I think because isn't it a tragedy? Like the book. I just wanted to say this, but
Yeah.
like the end of the book. Do you remember what happens at the end?
you can talk about it.
Well, Lolita.
Spoilers.
It's just the book. The movie. I think the movie is a different ending, but in the book, Lolita dies of pregnancy complications, and then Humbert, the dude, goes to jail and dies of a heart attack. So
Right.
it's kind of like, it's a dark story.
Right.
That's probably why people are like into it. It's not really like just for the pedophilia.
Yeah, and I think that it's interesting that Ben talks about how much he loves. It's like he loves the like 90s movie. That's like I've never seen that one, but
I've seen it. Yeah.
Right. But he and then we already know Grace talks to Ben about porn. He talks about how she has issues with porn. And then, we could even talk about right now, where look,
yeah, that stuff and everything on stream, I would say,
right.
like anything on the internet is a sexualizing
Right.
part of the grooming. I always thought that.
Right. Ben's telling Grace to, if she doesn't want to be a closed off weirdo, she needs to say that
normalize it.
Right. She needs to tell the catfish that the incest stuff happened, and she needs to be more open sexually. Right. That's
stinky
the whole
balls,
thing.
you stinky ass. Yep.
Right here.
Yeah.
Didn't do it.
Here.
Yeah, Ashley, the girl that he went to go to Texas for, is just a fucking catfish, and I told him it was a catfish, and he's like, "Oh no, Grace, you need to talk to her. You need to be more sexually expressive because she's down with sex and you're not." And she told me about how she had incest with her brothers. Nigga, she was baiting you, you stupid fat old nigga, you stupid
Right.
retard, and you're gonna sit there and make me feel bad. Oh, you're cock blocking me, Grace. Nigga, I don't want your dick.
So there you go. Like, again, he's still saying like you need to be more open sexually, you need to be more comfortable, don't try to cock block me. I mean, if we get to it, we're going to be listening to the recording that Grace made of Courtney when she came to Courtney's house, and she even says, we've taken out Joey's voice, but she even says Joey can talk about sex if he wants to talk about sex.
He's
Joey's 11.
Right.
Why can't Joey hear about sex?
She's trying to normalize it. I mean, I think that's like the most fucked up thing ever is like, I think it's like at the very beginning when Grace Tame says this, but she's like, the predator doesn't groom just the target. They groom everyone. And I think that what Ben does by normalizing sex with like everybody, including like he did that with his whole family, to protect himself and protect what he was doing. And I don't know, I think like when we heard Darius interview John, they were just making a comment at one point about how nothing like that Ben says a bunch of really disgusting, gross, perverted sexual stuff, and then afterwards he makes it seem like a joke, and it seems like that's something that he's always done. Maybe like the earliest form of normalizing sex was for Grace and his family was by doing that kind of joking, like making sexual jokes and making that like a normal kind of digestible thing for the family,
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, it could. Yeah, we don't know. This again. This is just our theories, but that's an interesting point. What else were our notes in
Wait,
sexualizing?
I do want to say this one thing. Like anyone who says like the ass slap, like when he smacks Grace's ass is like I think a good example. And I said anyone who says that this was an act doesn't understand that a parent crosses the line and sexualizes their child even if the physical contact was considered in Ben's mind as a joke.
Right. So we've seen him slap Grace's ass in her bathing suit. That's a deleted video that's in Shamu's second part of the documentary, Darkest Family on YouTube. And then there's a recent ass slap from the RV trip where he slaps her ass again. And again, you can view it's a joke. It's silly. It's not a big deal. But it's, again, normalizing that kind of behavior no matter
Yeah,
what.
and everybody who does say that's an act, it's a joke, you're, contributing to the grooming by totally normalizing something that crosses the line.
Right. What else? I'm just looking at our notes. I think if we fast forwarded it, like it's interesting how Ben liked being on Hormaxer, and he liked Hormaxer's. Well, and Spicoli.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is like Hormaxer, there's the video where he tells Grace to lick her panties, and she's horrified by it. She even starts to cry.
Well, that's in front of Ben,
right.
too.
Ben's watching that. And then I just think generally Ben likes kind of degenerate, degrading stuff. And he wanted his daughter to be involved in it, to normalize it.
Yeah, he wants to normalize like
Age
even
and she's not.
degeneracy. It's not just like sexual talk. It's literally like the grossest things that like Spicoli or Hormaxer says. It puts him on a level of like
this is normal.
Yeah.
And he wants his daughter to not only interact with Hormaxer, but to do what Hormaxer says to work out her sexual issues. This is, it's like we see it on camera. She's unhappy with it, Okay. Let's see. And then I guess you could say the blowjob with the beer bottle that Grace did on Ben as a version of normalizing fucked up sexual behavior.
Course.
Although that's supposed to, it was, whenever they talk about it, it's supposed to be like some attack like on Courtney, like, oh, this was a psychodrama so that Courtney would just see what she thought she saw to be able to accept it, whatever bullshit reason.
Well, when
Ben got off on it, that's the answer in my opinion. In my opinion, allegedly, that's what it was.
Yeah, and also, I mean, and the video where Grace and Ben are talking Courtney into taking her clothes off, that's like so gross and weird, but you can tell it's done to be like, Mom, why are you so like you're getting somebody who's like questioning themselves and being groomed to do that over again to her mom.
Well, right. For people that don't know, part 2, Shamu's documentary is a secret VC before court, where Courtney was made to strip down for everyone and to compare herself to Grace so that she would get over her issues with Grace. But again, I would say it's just a dehumanizing ritual for Ben, to dehumanize Courtney in front of Grace and normalize it. Okay, so the final part is maintaining control. Sorry, I think I might have. Is this it? Whatever. So it doesn't matter. I think the main thing is maintaining control. That's everything we see now. Ben does this loop where Grace is upset, and then he gives Grace something to calm her down, which is, let's say, the RV trip. Grace was probably feeling sad about the holidays. It was Thanksgiving, the day on Thanksgiving, when she knows the family's getting together. They go on an RV trip so they can visit someone that she really likes, which Grace really likes, Darius. So it's like Ben gives her this treat. He even says, like, I don't like want to hang out with Darius, but I'm doing it for you, you know? And they go on this long RV trip, and then they get back. There's the normal life, and then Grace has a freak out. Things fall apart because they can't have a normal existence. They never are able to maintain a non-fighting, they're constantly fighting.
Mhm.
And then once again, what did we see? In this case, Ben ran away, right? And now it's poor Ben. He's
Yeah.
falling apart, and Grace has to help him. But he's always pulling her and freaking her out and controlling her just enough, and then letting her go, whether it's an RV trip or, and then he kind of lets her, if we go back to this
Like, I
video,
don't want your stick.
which we don't have to watch, he lets her have a rope stream. He lets her scream and yell, "Fuck you, fat baby, your stinky balls." And then
Right. It's
all
all under
over.
his control. Yeah.
Right. And then Grace comes right back, because right now Ben and Grace are in a hotel together because after they fought with Jacinda and their landlord.
Can I
So, yeah.
can I
what's up?
read a little part of the maintaining control bit?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
just parts of what she had said.
Well, do you want me to go to the clip? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Actually, I
Okay.
like wrote the most important things
Okay, yeah,
down,
do
so
it.
it's okay. We just made notes, and I said, like, Ben tells Grace she's too damaged and unhealthy, and he is the only one that can put up with her or deal with her. They have long talks about how to fix Grace's behavior. And it's so easy to find, just one example of a whole entire cycle where Ben does something fucked up and then praises Grace to do this very thing. And what Grace Tame says the term is cyclical cognitive dissonance. Driving Grace into a state of total confusion, leaving her feeling helpless, unable to get out of a spiral on her own, and virtually incompetent and insane, like Courtney. In their mind. I'm not saying that's
right. He's
true,
always
but
comparing her to
that's the
Courtney.
comparison, and that's like the example of being like, you're insane, driving her to make herself believe that, and then being like, but you're nothing like Courtney. Those are like the examples of that, like maintaining control, kind of like leading her into these ideas and these perceptions of herself, and thinking of herself as totally incompetent and insane, and then giving her that praise just enough to be like, you're nothing like your mother, you're not. I don't know why you're acting this way. So it's just a head trip and like a cycle upon cycle.
Right. So do you wait, oops. So you're saying the world isn't against Ben and Grace Thorpe? No. Lalo, do you guys think they're codependent? Yeah, I mean, of course they're codependent.
Yeah,
it's not bad to say simplistic, but they're definitely codependent.
Yeah.
I actually use that as an example all the time with Grace, where I'm like, hey, Amelia and I, we've been together almost 12 years now. We're codependent. Like, that's an issue that we have. And trying to get her to see the connection there. She's occasionally kind of agreed that they have codependency issues. But I mean, that's like the least of the issues, obviously, because it's like they're codependent, but Grace, this all started with an adult father figure, grooming Grace. So that's the other issue. Codependency is just like on the pile. Okay. So so I think, okay, so that was this part. We're going to go to the final part, which is is long, but what we're doing here is we edited, so don't worry, we edited the recording Grace played, where, to give context, Grace came to her mother's house where Maggie, the 14-year-old, and Joey, the 11-year-old, live. And Courtney did let her in. It was 6:30 a.m. I am assuming she let her in because that's her daughter, and she maybe missed her. But pretty quickly, Grace started causing chaos. And where this recording begins is Grace going into Maggie's room as she is asleep, and essentially Courtney saying, no, 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 you can't just come in here and wake Maggie up and do whatever you want. We went in and tried to cut out Joey and Maggie's voices. There might be mixed voices sometimes, but we did our best to get them out because we don't think they're underage kids. We don't think they need to be, out in the public and heard. But we'll give context where we can. But the point is like when Grace posted this, and people kind of tried to push back on it, saying, this is your mother's house. She can tell you when to leave. She has no reason to trust you, Grace, because on 3 different occasions, you took Maggie. First, she tried to take her to LA. Courtney agreed initially. And then Courtney said, no, you cannot take the 13-year-old to LA with Darius. I think Maggie even went to the airport with Grace, and they had to give her back. It was a whole thing. There was a second time where Maggie she wanted to get Maggie back from Grace and Ben's. Apparently she wasn't seeing Ben, she was seeing Grace. The cops were even called, but the point is Grace kept Maggie for multiple days and wouldn't give Maggie back to Grace until she agreed. And then
To Courtney.
She wouldn't give Maggie back to Courtney until Grace decided. And then finally there was another time where Grace vaguely mentioned it in the server that she picked Maggie up. I assume Ben was in the car, but we won't know for sure. But there's 3 times where Maggie was kept too long, and Grace was in control. And so I believe Courtney has no reason to trust her daughter with her children, her underage children. And if the mother says, you are not seeing my children, Grace has to listen. Grace has no legal connection right to have those kids. That's where I just want to begin.
Did you say hi to her?
No.
She's saying out of Maggie's room.
Not right now. Not right now. Come. Out.
I can't say hi to Maggie.
No, you can't. Get out or you're going to get out.
No, I'm going to say hi to Maggie.
Grace, if you don't get out, I'm going to call the cops. Get out of this room and get in the living room. This is my house. You're going to do what I want.
I can't say hi to Maggie.
That is correct. You cannot say hi to Maggie right now. You cannot come in here and wake her up.
Well, then call the cops.
So Grace comes in. Courtney does let her, but then Courtney's saying, hey, you can't wake up Maggie. You can't just go into her room. It's 6:30 in the morning. She's sleeping. She knows Grace is trying to cause chaos.
Hey, Maggie. I stopped by because I was in the RV coming home from Foxwoods.
You want to do this to Joe? You want to do this to Maggie?
So this is going to seem a little weird if you haven't heard it before, but we cut out Joey's voice. He is very upset, and he wants Grace to stay.
No, Joe.
You want to do this?
What was cut up is that apparently Joey pushed Courtney, I could be wrong, against the wall or hurt Courtney. It tried to hurt Courtney in some way.
You're doing it. You're the one
I'm not doing it. Get out.
I can say hi to Maggie.
Get out and stop upsetting him. Get out of her room and leave her alone.
I'm not bothering her. Joey came in
This
here.
is my house.
Just rustle her up.
Grace,
I didn't
it's
tell you
my
to do that.
house. I'm asking you to go over here. That's it. You're
Because I
in
can't say
my
hi to my
house.
sister.
That is correct. Right
Why
now,
not?
I'm
Why
telling
can't I
you
say
you
hi to
can't.
my
You're in
sister?
my house.
But why not?
You need to show respect. You're in my house. You think it's funny?
You can
It's
call
not.
the cops
You
if
think
you
it's funny? You
want.
think Joey's finding it funny?
Right. So she's saying, go ahead and call the cops. But the point is instead of listening to her mother, she's arguing with her. She's secretly recording her. There's chaos that's happening that you guys can't fully hear.
She's
But-
taunting her too.
Right.
You think Maggie's finding it
I was
funny?
just you
Nobody's
came in
finding
here.
it funny.
You came in here and said I couldn't do this, and then
Yeah,
you
but
And let me just say, Grace claims she was in the RV with Ben. They drove by Courtney's house, and then Grace claims she dropped Ben off. But the point is this was, Ben was around.
that's
were gonna call
correct.
the cops.
That's correct. That is
Well,
correct.
this was against the rules. You should have told me don't go with Maggie.
It's against the rules of my house. This is my house. I told you not. I said, please get out of here.
Okay, but you said it in a crazy way. I can't.
No,
say
no, no.
hi to Meg.
It doesn't matter how.
You said it in a crazy way. Classic Ben and Grace
Gaslighting.
tactic. You're crazy. You're saying it in a crazy way. No, Courtney's saying, I'm telling you over and over again.
She's
Please
being
get out of
direct.
Matt. Yes. And
Yeah.
instead, what they do is she wants Joey and the kids to hear, Courtney, you're crazy. You're doing it in a crazy way. What's the classic line from our old video? You're
sweeping in an alienated person.
Yeah. Why are you cleaning in an alienated person? It's gaslighting, an overused term, but fits perfectly here.
How I say it. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can't say you didn't say it in the right way.
Why are you mad?
I said it in whatever way I said it. Get out of her room. Don't upset Joe.
I'm not upsetting him. You're upsetting him.
No, that is not true.
Oh, sorry, but how is Courtney upsetting Joey? Grace came in, ran into Maggie's room, and caused chaos.
No, I don't.
I didn't do anything to upset him.
Please
I didn't do anything.
get out
I
of
said
her
hi to
room.
him. It's true. It's true, Mom.
You think it's funny?
I do think it's funny.
This poor kid is sitting.
Well, look, you can hear Grace laughing. She thinks it's funny. Classic Ben thing too. Ben will laugh when Grace will be calling him like a fat baby or screaming or upset. Grace laughs. She thinks it's funny that that Joey's upset with Courtney. That Courtney's upset. It's like a joke to her.
You're crying and you think it's funny.
You made him do that.
No, I didn't. No,
What did I do?
It's your actions that made him upset. It's your actions that have upset him before he's going to school
call
today.
the cops, and then he said, "I'm not going to let you do that." That's you. That's
You know
not
what?
me.
You're not in charge here, Grace.
Call
They
the
know it,
cops.
and I know it. Okay? And if you want to keep going with this, yeah, we're gonna have a problem.
Okay, if you assault me, I'll call the cops as well.
What?
So she just basically like calling the cops. So all she said is like, I'm gonna call the cops, and then she escalates by saying, "Oh, you're gonna assault me." Like,
No,
that's crazy.
Again, Courtney never said that. She was just putting her foot down, saying, "I'm the kid's mother, and I'm in control of them, and you were not doing what I ask, which is to leave them alone right now."
Yeah. I'm not have no
That's what you're
intention.
threatening physical
No,
violence.
no, I'm talking
How is Courtney threatening physical violence? What? Gaslighting? What?
about calling the cops.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you're in my house,
Were you gonna say something? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know, because I think all Courtney said was like, you're gonna make me go to this point. And what she's referring to, that's not word for word, but she's just referring to calling the cops.
Right.
So, and Grace
I
just
let you
reads
into
that as like threatening, and then she gets really defensive, as if Courtney is threatening physical violence.
Right.
So dramatic.
But she's saying it in front of Joey too.
I know.
Put that in his
It's
head.
very melodramatic and there to incite some kind of reaction from
Right.
Joey.
house, which seems to be a huge mistake, then you're gonna follow my rules.
Okay,
So you can get out of Maggie's room.
but don't your rules have to make sense? I can't say hi.
No, they don't. No, they don't have to make sense. You know what? I'm a 36-year-old man. I can't go to my mom's house and just do whatever I want. If my mom says to me, "Rusty, you're an adult. You don't live here anymore. You have to leave," I have to follow her rules, whether they make sense or not. You know?
It's stupid as a kid to argue that point. Like, Mom, but
Well,
you
Grace
don't
is
make
an
you
adult
need to make
too.
sense
Yeah,
for
you
you to
don't-
ground me. I don't get it.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay.
Get the shit point. Yeah.
No, actually, my rules don't need to make sense to you in my house. They don't need to make sense to you.
Why are you so crazy? Why are you acting like this? What did
Because
I do?
you can't.
Oh, look, crazy, more gaslighting. What she doesn't respond in a real way to Courtney. It's you're crazy, and what you've said is crazy. And this all worked when Courtney
for a long
was stuck
time.
in the house for years. Everyone
Mhm.
ganged up on Courtney and said, "You're crazy, you're evil." And it was Ben and all the kids, which is not their fault, but that's what
Right.
happened.
But I mean, I can imagine in Courtney's position just being like, gosh, I'm still trying to heal my children's perception
Of
of me by getting them out of that like groomed mindset of thinking that your mom is crazy and fucked up. Like, she's not, clearly. And so that trust is like an everyday building process to get the kids at a very neutral place so that she could be a mom. And
Right.
so when we see Grace doing this, it's just her way of trying to stop that process from happening, because it is already happening. Like, you don't see the everyday of Courtney being a really functional mom who drives their,
jobs, right?
goes to her
Work.
jobs, but she takes care of her kids and she drives them to school and she feeds them and everything. So you know, all of that is what she's doing as a mom, and she's doing the right thing. And it's
Right.
fucked up for
Like
Grace
Grace,
to be doing that, you know,
right.
to be getting
She's
in the
trying
way of
to
that.
she's trying to get away with it. I just want to say, Hans Guru, thing is, I don't believe Grace believes everything she says in that recording. She knows what she does there exactly. Yeah. If you're referring to like that Grace knows that she's gaslighting and just using it as a tactic, I agree. Or are you saying that like Grace knows what she does is wrong? Because I also believe that too, that Grace knows that she's just doing it because Ben is telling her to or programmed her to. I think she knows deep down what she does is wrong. But I feel free to respond to that. Both, yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Into my house. You came into my house.
You invited me in.
Yeah, and
I
so
asked if I
I
could come in.
expected for some reason, a certain amount of respect,
Sorry.
which you are now absolutely treading upon.
By walking into my
That
sister's
is
room
correct.
and saying hi.
That is correct.
That's treading on your
That is
respect.
correct, because I asked you to get out.
Mm-hmm.
This is my house. You get out into the living room. That's what I asked you to do.
No, I'm not a child anymore. You can
Yes,
scream
that
at
is
me all
correct.
you
You are not a child, but you are
Scream at
still
me
in
all
my
you
house.
Right. You're not a child. You're still in my house. You have to listen to the rules, which are don't, upset the kids. It's 6:30 in the morning. Joey's trying to get on the bus and go to school.
Well, yeah. Did
So
you
it's like,
did you say did you add the context that she showed up at like outside waiting, basically there at the time that Joey would be waiting for the bus?
yeah, I didn't say
Yeah.
that, but yes, you're right.
Yeah, so
I'm not
that's
your
like
child.
insane to do. Like,
Right. They knew exactly what they were doing. Grace,
I
yeah.
don't follow your rules.
You're in my house. You
being
will follow
respectful.
my rules in my house, and you are not being respectful.
I am being respectful.
No,
I'm coming in here
you're
to
not.
say hi to Maggie.
No,
No.
you're not.
You can keep doing this.
Yeah, I know I can.
Can I just say, God damn it. The
What?
Seamus guy, he's like a Grace simp, I guess. My rules don't make sense. I don't have to make sense. He's trying to like claim Courtney sounds stupid here, but it's like, no, bro. She's just saying, I'm not going to dissect this all Ben style and try to, say, whoa, why is what I'm saying wrong or right? Courtney's
because
smart now.
there's no convincing Grace. Come on.
And Ben. Yeah, it's saying, no, I'm the adult. You are not my child anymore, and you cannot control my children and my house. The end.
Yeah, I know I can keep doing this.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
All I wanted to
I'm
ask you,
the-
okay, fine. All I wanted to ask you about was the blocking of the text. Okay, we can leave Maggie if she wants to go back to sleep. I didn't come in here. Joey came in here. I didn't come in here. But I mean, I didn't come in there at first. I wanted to ask you about the text thing because if I can't communicate with you, then I can't arrange, picking up the guys, taking them skating or whatever. It's impossible. I don't want to secretly pick them up.
Wait, I'm just gonna look at this Lalo comment. In a way, Ben wanting to have the kids closer kind of stops the sexual stuff from happening. I mean, like, I think theory, this is all just a theory, allegedly. I don't know if Grace and Ben do anything sexually anyway anymore. I don't know, but I think either way, whether there was like, I don't think it's healthy to kind of view it as like, well, if just give Ben the kids so Ben stops like trying to get with Grace sexually. Allegedly.
What about
like,
Maggie?
I don't think that's helpful.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think it's helpful. I think it's all bad. Like, I think it's all bad,
Yeah. I hate
Just
to be like the one to bring it up, but like the Maggie stuff is super concerning, and I think in whatever way Ben would love to be closer to his other daughter just to have access to her the
right.
same way that he's had access to Grace. And
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, this is again our opinion, but based on the clips we've played in the previous video, I believe possibly Ben wants access to Maggie, and that's a reason to be worried too. So let's keep going.
Doesn't make any sense. Well, again, like the reason why I don't want to talk to you about the texting is because Joey's here. Hey, Grace, I just hope that you're really satisfied. I hope that you're satisfied.
Well, he has a right to, like, we don't have to talk about what I was texting you about because that's like more private, but he has a right to, like, I don't know. Sometimes I want to take them places, but I have no real way of contacting you, and you have threatened me several times with police now if I take the guys somewhere that you don't want me to take them. So we have to communicate about it somehow, don't we?
Well,
can I just
would
say
think that
something?
Mm.
I don't know. I think it's like weird how Grace is playing up this role as if she has parental rights to see what she says, like at times, like her kids, because she's just play acting as if she's the real mom.
Well,
Of,
Ben's gotten her to say that before in VCs, and I
yeah,
think on stream, which is that she's the real mother. Those are her kids. Grace goes back and forth on it, but I think that's this thing he tries to put into Grace's head, which is you're the real mother.
Up with a better way than just showing up at like 6:30.
I can come back. I can come back later, but there's no way for me to get in contact with you about when I could come over to talk about
Well,
it.
you could have said to Maggie, "Hey, I need to talk to Mom. It's been kind of rough.
Grace.
Can you ask her? Is there any way that we can communicate?" Because
I texted no, but listen, I texted Maggie a few weeks ago and I said, "Can you ask Mom to check her phone because she's not getting my text or she's not responding." And Maggie told me, "Mom is asking you to please stop using me as a method of communicating with her." And
okay, then you know where I live. Apparently, you could have put a note in the box. Yeah.
Okay, but why do I have to go through all this rigmarole? Why
You
can't
have
I
to
just
go because you've shown yourself to be somebody who's not to be trusted. That's why you need to go through this rigmarole.
Okay, and like when I say again, even without Ben and Grace like taking Maggie 3 different times without express permission, and there having to be this big, well, at least the first 2 times to get her back, it was like a whole thing. So that's enough reason to not trust Grace with her kids. But also, why would it, even without that, why would Courtney trust Grace when Grace tells Ben everything and there's been all this abuse that's happened, you know? Look, we can watch the water video that we've played a million times of Grace throwing water on Courtney and stretching her, pulling her neck. Like Grace, and under the control of Ben, has been, abusive to Courtney. And I think there's a million reasons why Courtney shouldn't trust Grace. It just doesn't. And I hope Grace escapes, but.
Can you just talk about the fact of how Grace got those messages between Ben and Jill? Didn't she have doesn't Ben have access?
No, Grace has access to Ben's iMessages. That's for everyone. We could do a whole video on the Jill thing,
but basically what I was trying to say is wasn't there some kind of implication that Ben uses
oh yeah Grace's
said phone
in the
last number or whatever.
Wait, yeah. In the last video that I talked to Grace, she said that she implied this that Ben uses Grace's number to message the kids, which she can't do legally. That's breaking the restraining order.
It is. Yeah, so there's
Grace admitted that.
These are the reasons, it's the biggest reason why Grace can't be trusted, because it's we don't know who we're ever talking to when you're talking to Grace. When anybody's talking to Grace, it could be just anyway. It's not directly Ben, but it's Grace's behavior is just completely changed according to what Ben wants her to do. So
Right, which happened through the last thing we watched, all the grooming. Yeah.
How have I shown myself to be that?
You've tried to take Maggie without me knowing. You've also encouraged Tommy to just run away and defy me.
He ever run away? I didn't. No, he's living in a shed at Grandpa's house. I offered that he could stay over at my apartment.
Okay, again, a lot of people don't know this, but Grace told Tommy, her, I think 16-year-old, 15-year-old brother, to just run away from Courtney and to just go live with her. Supposedly Ben wouldn't be there, but it makes absolutely no sense. So another reason that Grace can't be trusted.
Sometimes, because
don't
I don't
sit here
use
and
it.
tell me that he's living in a shed at Grandpa's house.
He is living in a shed at Grandpa's house.
Yeah, but the point of you saying that is like, well,
Mom, it's
I told him to defy you because he's living in a shed.
I didn't know
He's living in a
I'm
shed
not
at Grandpa's
encouraging
house for a reason.
I said I offered him my apartment, which I don't really use,
You
and I
told
said
him,
he could
you
live up there.
essentially you told him, grab your stuff, don't listen to Mom, and come over. That's not okay.
He can move his stuff over there.
That is not okay.
He can't move his stuff over there. Courtney is the custodial parent. Grace is the sister. It's not good for her to try to undermine the mother by saying, go run away and live in this apartment that we're not going to live in, which is a total lie anyway, or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, this is why I need to be careful with you, because you don't seem to understand that I'm in charge of these kids.
Mm.
And you're not. And you shouldn't be.
You just want to sit here and scream at me.
Yeah, I am going to scream at you. I'm sick of your crap.
Well, I'm not a kid anymore, Mom.
Well, then scream at me back. Whatever you want to do.
I don't want to. I just want to ask you if you can unblock me.
You want to sit there
if you
like
could
some kind of crazy person, like you're going to control everything.
If I just
like, oh, you're.
Yeah. What was that? Are you going to talk about it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I
just
think
saying, like,
that
you can control. You want to try to control everything, Grace, is what she was saying.
Yeah. I really like. I think how Courtney handled that was awesome. It's probably really hard to deal with somebody just like not changing, even like no matter what you say to them, it's like not gonna get through, you know.
Yeah. Also, Seamus says Grace can see her siblings. I mean, she just legally she can't. I mean, that's just she doesn't have the right to access her underage siblings. That's just not true.
I just wanted to.
You're a real reasonable person, Grace.
Yes, I don't really want to have this relationship with you.
Oh, really?
I just would
so
like
you want
to
show up at my house at 6:30 in the morning.
I was in the area. I was coming back from Foxwoods.
Okay, you can sit there.
I was.
With your face and like just go. I'm reasonable. I was just coming back from Foxwoods.
Well, Mom, if you don't want, if you don't,
right now, she's being a liar. This is what you're missing about it.
When I hugged him, I didn't cry a little bit. I didn't miss him. I've been able to see him.
I'm very sorry that you guys are.
You're not sorry. You've stopped me from seeing him.
That's right. That's
so
right.
You're not
and
sorry.
I've already explained why. I am sorry it has to be like this for Joe.
It doesn't have to be like
this.
It
does have to be like this.
Okay, then get a restraining order against me so I can't see them. You can't just tell me that I can't see my own siblings.
You know what? See,
I have a right to see them.
This is what you don't understand.
Again, it's just more looping. You know, Grace just saying, I can see them. I can do what I want, blah, blah, blah.
That's when they have to be back. If I say you can't sleep over there, they can't sleep over there. You can't see them. If I say be back at a certain time, that's when they have to be back. If I say you can't sleep over there, they can't.
But
if I say you can't see that person over there, they can't.
Right. But
I am in control. Okay. If I say they can't see John, they can't see John. If I say if Charlie and Tommy can't come over because they misbehaved here, then they can't come over. Okay?
But I'm their sister. Job. I'm their adult sister.
Well, I just think what Courtney said was really spot on. Like, I'm not gonna dissect this anymore. We're not gonna like sit for 8 hours and talk about
and discuss it. Yeah,
a word means. If I'm the mother,
what I say goes.
And that's it. That's it. And of course, Grace hates it because it's like, no, I want to argue and blah blah blah.
Right? She can't sway her this way or that. Like
she can't overwhelm her. And keep in mind, I know we're not perfect, but we tried our best to edit out Joey screaming at the whole time. So like you guys aren't really hearing that Courtney's like trying her best to like, she has two people attacking her. Of course, Joey's a little kid and it's not his fault, but it's very overwhelming, you know?
She deals with it really well by being like, you know, Joey, you know, don't worry.
We'll hear that. Yeah. I just wanted to see this comment by Christmaxer, RD and M. Do you believe that Grace has become blinded by the audience she's cultivated and the reinforcement she gets from them? I think it's a little weird because there are like simps who are just like Seamus. They're just like, whatever you say goes, Grace. But there's a lot of people in that chat that are like, you sound crazy. She's the mother. It's like, to me, it's like there's like people that are watching for entertainment because they believe these people are like lol cows, horror cows, whatever you want to call it. There's people that are watching because they love Grace and they're Grace simps. There's obviously like, there's people that are critical of them. And obviously there's like overlaps between that. But I think it's less about the audience making Grace think she's right and more that she's just like stuck with whatever audience she has. And Ben constantly making her like, we could do a whole episode about her arguing with that narcissist psychologist yesterday, because Grace was like, oh, I got that bitch, she's an idiot. If you guys didn't know, some lady who was like a psychologist looked at Grace's videos and claimed Ben was a narcissist. Pretty boring stuff, but Grace was like, how could you say that? It's unethical, and lost her mind. But it's like the entire chat basically was like, Grace, you like Grace, you know, you sound unhinged. You've proved this lady's point about narcissism. And Grace just ignored all of it, you know? So it's more like, it's kind of ridiculous. Here we go.
I also have a right
and I
to
am
see
their
them.
mother. And I trump you as far as authority.
I mean, legally?
No, I mean.
Let's say,
well,
Tenorman said, it was like this before she had an audience. You mean like it's always been like people disagreeing with Grace, or that she had people that were like on her side? I'm curious what Tenorman means. Sorry.
In every way.
Well, I'm not really asking to trump you in authority. I'm just asking, can I have a way to communicate with you so that I can communicate about taking them, like for Christmas, to Foxwoods, to the ice skating rink? I don't want to be their new mother. I'm not asking. I'm not saying. I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to be their new mother. Okay, so I don't know what this authority thing is. I'm just.
This is a good point. Yeah, it's always been this insanity. The audience are just an afterthought. Yeah, it'll always be Ben wanting to control Courtney and the kids for whatever reasons. Grace is, you know, a part of that, and the audience, they can't sway Grace.
Yeah,
they can't sway Ben. It's the audience, I think, mostly just watches because they think Ben's a piece of shit, and whatever. Maybe there's chaos, maybe there isn't, but yeah.
Well, and I think to a certain extent, there's like a level of like them allowing us, especially Ben, allowing us to believe that we can change Grace's mind by talking to her.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know, because he utilizes all of that by being like, okay, Grace, like, go on Discord, don't fuck with me, talk to them. And it's just a way to like distract and kind of cycle through, and
maybe it's a way to farm like an audience. But it's not,
also
it's
I
not
think like
influence them.
Right. I think it almost like desensitizes her though from the influence of an audience over time. To be like, you know, nobody is ever going to get through to you. Nobody in this entire world can,
and they don't understand you.
Yeah, I think that if anything, like the audience is used to further isolate, if anything.
I think RD agreed there's an element of audience reinforcement, but it's primarily an internal dynamic separate from the audience. I don't know. I just think I think it's more Grace wants clout, so she'll talk to us and engage with us. She wants, like, Ben and Grace want to have a I guess a YouTube channel that is successful in some level, but yeah, I don't think they really care what we think fully. If even people that agree with Ben, he doesn't really like that much, like
True.
ride and stuff.
You're saying you have every right
blocked
to see
me
them
for no
if
reason.
you want to, and I'm saying you don't.
Okay.
And maybe that's a good starting point if we can agree to that.
Thanks,
And
Chrysler.
then you have to ask me.
I agree. For example, if I was smoking pot and giving pot to Charlie and Tommy, like John does, bad influence. If I'm giving illegal drugs to
Las Vegas. Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never tried to take Maggie to Las.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, I skipped a little bit.
Las Vegas.
Sorry.
Okay, so I had
A reason that I
order
shouldn't
against
see
your
somebody,
father,
but
and you put Maggie in a car with him and drove up to Boston and tried to take her to Las Vegas.
Okay, so Grace, Courtney messed up a little bit and she said Las Vegas instead of LA. So like she makes a little mistake and Grace kind of
clings onto that and like
right
harps on it to be like,
say
you're insane. What are you talking about? I never tried to take Maggie to Las Vegas. Well, yeah, you never tried to take her to Las Vegas, but you tried to take her to LA, which that's what she was
It's a shit
to say. Yeah, it's so
it's
stupid.
a shit point. And the actual point is what we know, which is that there was a talk of maybe Maggie and the kids going to LA. Then Courtney said, I could be wrong, said, no, it's not happening. And then Grace and Ben took Maggie to Boston, which is like an hour and something away from Rhode Island. So that was breaking the restraining order.
Contact,
right?
The
restraining order. And then I believe Courtney had to like almost call the cops or something. Anyway, it was a huge drama and Grace can't be trusted.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never tried to take Maggie to Las Vegas.
No. You don't remember putting her in the car and having her lie down in the back seat? So that like technically
to go to Las Vegas?
To go to Las Vegas, yes, to drive up to Logan Airport to go to Las Vegas. You remember that?
No.
You don't remember that at all?
I never went to Las Vegas. I don't know what you're talking about.
Not Las Vegas. Okay, sorry. There you go.
If you want some space, I can leave. I think you owe it to me to just establish some way I can contact you. If there's a Cirque du Soleil show for Christmas.
Okay,
this is
so
bullshit.
right, I think I maybe cut it out a little bit because I had to cut out Joey talking. But the point is, Courtney eventually was like, "Yeah, California," and then Grace just changed the subject.
Yeah,
I wanted to take them to it.
but it's funny how she was like, "I just need to
there's some
be
reason
in contact with you in case I want to take them to the Cirque du Soleil." Like, I don't know.
Which is we're gonna look at a clip. Grace talked to me a couple last week, and this whole thing about the reason I was there was because I want them to go to this Cirque du Soleil. That's total bullshit, and we're gonna hear it from Grace's mouth. Okay, maybe I should bring up the clip now, or should we just go through this?
Do it now. Yeah.
Okay, so here, guys, we're gonna look at Grace, essentially contradicting herself. So let's see.
Probably.
Okay. So here's a couple. This is like a week or so ago where I was talking to Grace. I think it was the day after Christmas, her dad's birthday.
And I don't say this in a shitty way. I like how
Sorry.
Like, you know what? I feel this like really weird fear about.
I like how in
Sorry.
Well, it's because it's because
why would I like? I mean, even if you want to be.
He generally
he's given me everything I have.
He's
given me housing. He's given me money. He's
given me
I get it.
He's
given me.
But he generally doesn't. He generally does.
I'm trying to find.
It's not him though.
Anybody.
You gotta accept it is.
I'm not.
You want to go into your mom's house?
Okay, here it is. Sorry, I finally found it. I asked Grace about why she went to her mom's house and recorded.
Well, what was the reason you did it?
I did.
Was it because your dad told you to do it, or was it because you wanted to do it?
He was like, you could say hi or you could not. It's up to you. But, we're driving by there. And I was like, you know what? I feel this like really weird fear about going to see her. And I was like,
you know, actually, I shouldn't have that fear. That's like, that's crazy to feel. I shouldn't feel afraid of this person. So I was like, okay, well, whatever happens, I'm just gonna do this, almost as like a personal challenge. Like,
Okay, so now Grace is saying the reason she did it was her dad was driving with her and said, "Hey, we just so happened to be driving by," whatever the fuck that means. And this was a personal challenge to confront her fear of her mother. Not, you need to go tell the kids we're going to go ice skating.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, so that was a lie. That was bullshit. And if we brought this up to Grace or Ben, they'd go, "Fuck you! You're banned! Shit point! Fuck you, Artie! Fuck you!" When all they ever do is try to make points about who's lied and who's told the truth, right? They're probably gonna ignore this video, but if they did dissect it, they'd talk about every little point we fucked up. Like, I think one time. Okay. Anyway, I'll keep going.
fuck that bitch.
Okay.
Or, like, fuck this fear. Like, whatever. She can tell me to fuck off. She can tell me she doesn't want to see me. I told her, like, I don't, you know, I can come back later or whatever. Just, like, you know, I got filled with this sort of fear when I was near her house. And I was like, you know what, actually, I just kind of want to fuck this up and just see what the deal is, because...
That's not the correct...
I want to fuck this up. I
don't want to reverence this person. She doesn't control me. I can go to her house and knock on her door, and if she doesn't want to see me, she can say,
okay.
There you go. It's like all
this... It was an attack. It was terrorism.
It was an attack based off of all of this resentment. And, like, it's bullshit that she's afraid of her mom. She's not afraid of her mom. She's like, she and Ben seethe about whatever is going on. And they really want to control whatever they can to just fuck with them. And
Right.
so it's based off of like true anger and like rage, really.
Right. No, I mean, this is exactly the opposite, basically, of what Grace said. No, Mom, I just came here to, like, I'm a hippie, dude. I just came here to, like, tell the kids they're gonna go to Cirque du Soleil, Mom. And then I asked this question, and it's no. Fuck Courtney. She doesn't control me. Fuck her.
We get the
"Hey, you know
real
what, Grace?
story.
This is not a good time." And I was like, if she says that, then she says that.
Why are you using a toilet cleaner for your cat?
So, by the way, this is... Well, I don't want to get...
Think she let you in?
That's what I was asking.
Toilet cleaner.
That's what I was asking earlier. That is totally... That's
Use
totally a
fucking rag.
point.
Hey, look what I had to deal with to get this information, you guys.
Can you not...
This is way better for cleaning.
I think this might be it.
A rag is like...
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Sorry. We're not... But I think... I just think it's interesting. It's like you have to get these clips, and there's so much information. The actual person, like most people watching the Thorp stuff, like they can't watch 7 hours of this shit. So then when there's like a little 20-second clip that just breaks apart everything Grace just told everybody about, oh, she just went there to tell the kids, blah, blah, blah. They know most people aren't even going to see it anyway. So I'm glad that I was able to catch that, and you guys could see it, and I'm glad maybe someone else can watch it and know that it was like a bullshit point.
Say like I can't take them anywhere.
I said Courtney is the mother. She decides if her minor children can see their older sister.
Then you should get a restraining order, but I don't think you're going to do that. So what's the deal? I'm not trying to secretly take them away from you on trips.
You've done that many times.
I am not trying to do that. Oh, well, you've done that.
You have.
But okay, but I'm actively not doing that by coming over here and saying like, okay, you blocked me on text.
Thank you so much, Grace, for not trying to abduct my kids again.
You said Maggie could go.
Yeah, it's like, am I supposed to thank you for not trying to abduct my kids? Is that it?
Well, okay, let's not get into that. Fine, I abducted your kids. Okay, but I'm saying...
What?
Whoa.
What?
Yeah.
Fine, I abducted your kids. You win. Whatever. Not a big deal. Okay, so I don't trust you, Grace. Get the fuck out of my house. I'm not crazy. I can't trust you.
Yeah.
You know?
You blocked me on text, so there's no way, and I was communicating with you through Maggie, and then you told Maggie to tell me that you don't want me to use her like that. So, what's the deal? Why did you block me?
Change the subject. Why did you block me? That's what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot.
Sorry, this is
answer
Discord in the
this
background
question.
when I
cannot
ripped
have
this.
this conversation with you in front of Joey and Maggie. Why I blocked you?
No.
Keep in mind, we've edited out Joey and Maggie. So, like, this is even more chaotic and crazy.
Yeah.
Like, Grace is saying all this stuff in front of her.
But isn't the reason you blocked me?
You
Is
know,
it?
Joe, I'm sorry, but some things are like beyond you and that you don't need to know about. Okay.
By the way, Ben made sure to say, RD, you suck. I'm not trying to make this about me, but it's just kind of funny. Some things are beyond you, Grace, and you can't know all the information.
Well, I don't know. You didn't tell me. You didn't even tell me you were blocking me. You just.
Hey, guys. Sorry, more drama. Nikki, no. I can't do the accent. Too bad Tenderman's not up here. RD, you are a Courtney simp. Grace has every right to see her siblings. No, actually, she doesn't have every right to see her siblings, and she's proven that she's kidnapped her sibling. And makes sense why she doesn't trust Grace. And Nikki, I went on Nikki's stream for a minute a couple days ago, and when I talked to Nikki, she was like, yeah, Courtney's not wrong. I don't like Ben. She just changed her whole tune, by the way.
Yeah.
Blocked me. So you didn't tell me the reason. So I don't know what the reason is. I don't know if it's inappropriate for these guys. I have no idea.
Well, I can assure you that is inappropriate.
What does it have to do with sex?
Don't be, Grace. Don't come in here.
Joey knows what sex is. I can say the word sex.
Hey guys, look, remember we talked about with
the normalizing sex.
And
is
I'm
that what you're gonna say?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the systematic way of grooming. By I mean, obviously, this would be disturbing to any kid. Even the insinuation of it would be like super mysterious, and like like somebody Joey's age would probably be really, really confused. But instead of trying to make it like an adult conversation just between her and Courtney, she involves Joey by kind of hinting at like, oh, he doesn't need to be kept in the dark from any of the shit because this is all not true and fake, and it needs to be normalized for Joey too,
Yeah. And I'm not saying that Grace is trying to groom her little brother in that way, but I think
she's normalizing the abuse that's going on in her family.
Right. And also it's just saying whatever my mom wants, I'm saying the opposite, and that your mom's trying to hide the truth, Joey. I want you to know that it's about creating a wedge between Joey and Courtney. That's what it's also about. Yeah,
exactly. It goes into
the isolating thing.
Yeah, the isolating thing and the gaining trust thing. Like, don't worry, Joe, I have your back. I would never lie to you. I would always tell you things straight up, unlike mom.
Right. Like, and but by the way, like every 11-year-old like wants to see the R-rated movie and to know that's what
I said. It's like it must be a huge weird mystery to him that he must be curious about it and understanding it when he totally doesn't, because who would at that age, especially if that's like happening in your family,
About it. I have no idea why you blocked me.
Don't come in here and start doing that.
You blocking me means that I can't see them. I can't even arrange seeing them with you. But why can't you just tell me why you blocked me? Or just so you can skip over it, you can unblock me or whatever. And
so now it's like,
work it out.
Okay, if I can't get this, then I want
it's a
this.
bargain. It's
and
a bargaining.
I think Courtney's just like, okay, by the end, like, fine, I'll unblock you. Fuck off. Sadly, she has to do that.
From there, doesn't have to be in person. You really shouldn't scream at people like that. That's technically assault.
What? Screaming at someone? By the way, Courtney's being pretty chill in my opinion. Yes, there's parts where she's yelling, but like she's not. There's no assault going on. Like I know that, like I know we don't. There's no camera, like we can't see it, but it's just ridiculous what Grace is saying. I'm sorry, in my opinion.
You shouldn't do that because I was afraid you might hit me or lunge at me.
It's just
You
silly
shouldn't do that to
drama.
people.
And she knows she's recording, so there's like another like aspect of like, I've been like afraid of you this whole time, just to like be on the record, you know,
Right,
as saying something like
and
that.
she's saying it in front of the kids too. It's like, oh, you know.
Yeah, right.
That's technically assault if you're afraid of being in danger. You shouldn't do that when I didn't do anything. You should be more careful.
Well, now we're like in like weird mob. I'm not gonna say it, but you know, like a threat
Well, she
territory.
starts. She does start threatening her.
Yeah.
Wait, keep playing.
Did you get my text? Thank you so much.
Towards me, or is it just gonna be crazy?
So we just missed like a huge. Joey had like a big breakdown. He couldn't go to school. Like we had to cut out all that because I didn't want to play it. But Joey has a huge, like, gets
Meltdown.
really upset and melts down, which I believe Grace knew that was going to happen, and it caused him not want to go to school. The school bus was there. It left, and you know that was the chaos that I believe Grace knew was going to occur. That's my opinion. But we had to cut that out because I just didn't want to play it.
Because I would, whatever. I mean, I know it's been crazy, but I'm not really trying to start shit with you. I'm just, there's literally nothing else I could do than come over. Because you told me not to text Maggie and you blocked me. I mean, there's nothing else I could do.
What is your question? I'm sorry. Missed it. What's your question? What is your question?
Well, I just
keep in mind Courtney's like, you know, her mind's kind of like, you know, all over the place because Joey just had a big meltdown and didn't go to school and, you know,
said a bunch of things.
Well, I can't remember any of them.
Well, is there a reason you're so hostile and angry? Do I ever get an explanation, or is it just
what? Of course, like. Does Grace want Courtney to like dissect the entire last 5 years or more?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Because it's like someone, I mean, this is ridiculous.
The thing is, Grace, like when people talk, a lot of times what they want to do is get somewhere, come to some conclusion, but use communication as a weapon.
Oh, here it is.
Very true.
You use communication as a weapon. Ben uses communication as a weapon. We're going to sit for 7 hours and we're going to talk about how you can't hold a pencil right, or you're a victim of gravity, or you don't like whatever you do is wrong. And whatever answer you give has to be pulled apart to where it means nothing. And they can redefine everything.
Yeah.
And Courtney's fighting that.
Yeah, the only thing that is like holding her back in her life at all times is that stuff. So it's like, look, she's just trying to get out the door. Like you're literally making everything so much harder for her as like a parent. So and on purpose too, to be like, look, you're a fuck up, you know, that's the whole past and like the history of kind of almost impeding Courtney's ability to just function day to day, and then being like, hey, look, you can't function. What's wrong with you? It's like, you're what's wrong. It's like the way that you continue to weaponize communication like every single day, you know?
Yes. Courtney was juggling her narcissistic daughter, her minor children, upset by the daughter, everyday obligations, and her own feelings in the moment. She did great. Yeah.
Yeah. We agree.
By the way, yeah, god damn it. Look what that lady said. Fuck.
Wait, what did it say?
It was something like it's okay to miss a day of school. Ugh, whatever.
Okay.
What did I say?
You need to do your learning. You need to do your long.
Now she's mad at you.
Maggie walked in the room now, and so now there's 3 people fighting Courtney.
What is this LARP? What is this?
That was a door slamming. I think Joey slammed it.
Well,
I think
blocked.
I believe Maggie slammed the door, just like fuck this.
Oh, I
But,
see.
but either way, it was one of the kids like saying, "I'm mad at you, mom."
Yeah.
Is there
Joey's
any
not going to school.
explanation?
He's crying. He's upset. I think you're done here, correct?
Joey isn't going to school. He's crying. He's upset. You're done here, which I think is a really good communication to Grace. Like, this is it. It's over. You did this. You've caused more chaos.
I didn't do that.
Because I know that you guys have, some of you, I think, have heard the full thing if you followed Thorpe stuff. But like, Grace could have calmed Joey down and helped and said, go to school, Joey. Me and your mom are talking. She doesn't do any of that, right? She doesn't do any of that at all.
Yeah, you did.
You acted crazy.
I
You
don't
threatened
like-
to call the
Here's the
police
thing, Grace,
on your
I
own
don't
daughter.
like talking to you because you're manipulative, you're conniving, you're malicious. You have no care for this child and his feelings. And somewhere deep down, you know what you're doing. Stopped.
So she's saying you don't care about the child and his feelings.
It's true. If you listen to it, it's like Joey actually just wants. What is it you want? He wants like some access
He wants
to
the Apple ID.
The Apple ID.
So we can like get game stuff.
Yeah, and it's like that's his thing. He wants you to care about it and just do the thing. You know, a kid is like super simple. Like the whole time he's like talking about video games. It's like
At
none
the
of this
end.
matters to him at all. And then what you hear Grace actually do is like completely ignore him. Like
Right. She just wanted him to get upset and wound up. And then when he actually says, like, hey, Grace, can you help me with like this Apple ID thing? She doesn't give a fuck at all because
Right.
she's already done what she was there to do, which is to sow chaos, not help Joey calm down, not
actually get the reaction from Joey that she wanted out of him.
right on to play this recording for everyone. She didn't want him to promote going to school. The only thing I'll give her credit for is when Joey did, I think, push his mom. Grace did like say, whoa, whoa, whoa. But that's it.
Caring because you have to do it.
I don't have to
You
stay here
have
for
to
your
do it.
diatribes.
Wait, listen to this part.
You should be real careful saying shit like that to me. What?
It's really low. But
Yeah.
She says, be real careful saying that shit to me.
Real fucking careful. Why?
Be real fucking careful. So now we're at a threat of, I'd say a threat of violence, like vaguely. If you can hear it, like
Yeah. It's there to be like, next time. I don't know. It feels very much like you better watch how you say to me because next time this isn't going to be this way. You
right,
know?
right. I'm going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So listen again.
Real careful saying shit like that to me. Why? Real fucking careful. Why? Just be careful.
Be careful. That's it.
Yeah. Courtney
the rest-
asked a good question. She was like, why? What are you going to do? You
Right.
know?
I think I was gonna play the end of the grooming video and then we'll be done because I don't want this to go longer than 2 hours. I don't but I would like to stream again soon. I know it's been like months, but there's another really interesting thing to, I think during the RV trip, Ben made Grace make a list of people that were bad, and I think it's a great reflection of what it would be like to live with Ben back in the day or now. But just thanks for everyone hanging out and giving your opinion. You know, I'm doing this, we're doing this because we care. I want Courtney to be okay. I want Grace to be okay. I want the kids to be okay. I think kind of going on streams and treating Ben like he's just like a goofball lolcow isn't really helpful. I'm not trying to like say I'm better than anyone, but I think there's something really wrong with him. I don't think he's a good person. And here, let me put this video up. Where is it? Okay. So you want me to play what?
It's like, if you can find it, she says something at the beginning of the last part, like by reducing child sex abuse to single acts of violence, we shield the system from view and protect perpetrators.
So is that in part 6?
It's after the last like maintaining control, and she's done talking about that.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I thought it was really important because it was like the one thing that we heard from this talk where we were like, wow, that's like, it's so spot on. And it's something that I wish that Grace would listen to, you know.
Used by perpetrators to entrap you physically and mentally in their world. By reducing child sexual abuse to single acts of violence, we shield this system from view and we protect perpetrators. This is the very reason child sexual abuse has been able to continue for so long unchecked. We need to make understanding grooming a societal priority. As a start, we have to listen. Every single survivor has value. Every single survivor has unique insights that can inform and inspire change. Indeed, everyone's experience of grooming looks different, both internally and externally. That said, the fears, the shame, the self-destruction are all largely the same. You lose trust in others and in your own judgment equally. You lose yourself in a turbulent sea of self-doubt. I've only ever seen grooming from the inside. I don't know what it looks like from the perspective of a parent or a bystander. And even if I did, one thing I know for sure is that while it's happening, it doesn't make logical sense to anyone except the perpetrator. Also, it's important to note that perpetrators don't just groom their targets, they groom everyone to create an environment in which abuse can thrive in plain sight. It's an entire system, an ecosystem of control, of which physical acts make up just one part. What's more, practiced perpetrators know that after a while, after the effects of grooming start to take hold, children will invariably start behaving in ways that to outsiders does very much make it appear as if they don't want to leave the abusive situation. Stockholm Syndrome. When everything else is taken away from you and you are forced to depend on a perpetrator, abuse becomes a part of your identity. Even though this isn't a conscious choice, it's inevitable. You can't help it. Your behaviour changes accordingly. You adapt to abuse. You develop a desperation to get the most painful parts over and done with as soon as possible. Eventually, you find yourself initiating physical contact. You watch yourself walk up to the person who is hurting you and give them a hug.
Wait, keep playing. Sorry.
You hear yourself saying, "I love you." This is how you cope. It's like being possessed. You watch everything play out and then go home and cry yourself to sleep. You cut yourself and drink until you pass out. It's like sleep paralysis. It's like you're awake, but you can't move your body the way you want to. You dress to impress them. You become their fantasy. You feel compelled to be with them and paranoid when they aren't there. Why? Because what's scarier than seeing that you are sharing the room with a spider on the wall? Sharing a room with a spider, but not knowing where it is. This paranoia and hypervigilance stay with you long after the physical abuse stops. Elements of grooming are internalized in all of us.
All right.
So how do we...
We can stop here.
I mean, I think that was really great. Thank you for getting it. What would you say about it? I mean, I think there's a lot that I see in Grace when I hear that last part.
Yeah, I mean, it's just good for all of us to understand that, you know, from like she said, like, I can imagine from an outsider's point of view, looking in, that somebody like going through this, they would make it look very much like they never want to leave this abusive situation, which is very true. And then the last part caught me, like I thought that when she says you find yourself, you know, in every way making your identity a part of the abuse. So you dress to impress them, you
Oh
become
yeah.
their fantasy. And so like I even thought about that, like when she wears like the cheerleader outfit and stuff, and even further, like her putting like marker on her face to create like a Hitler mustache. It's very like, it's something you wouldn't do at her age, but it's also like, it's like influence to please
Ben. I
E-
mean, yeah. Even look
Mhm.
at. Sorry to say, if you again were looking at her old Instagram at what how she dressed in 2019. Again, I know that's like many years ago,
Yeah.
but her clothes. It sounds nuts, but
Well, no,
I feel like her
it's about
fashion
personal.
choices made
Mhm.
more sense.
Yeah, because she
And
had a personality to give personal expression
a
to
personal
what she was.
style.
Yeah.
And
But now
now,
she seems to, I don't know, like I think that's been happening for a long time, but I don't think that she oh, okay. Well, but still, I think she's very impressionable. She wants to please people in general, but mainly I think like her clothes and her sense of style
are informed by
are
Ben.
right.
Like if we looked at the old Hormaxer video where she's like, oh, poor Max is like, oh, Grace, you don't look good. You don't dress sexy. And she's like, hold on. And she has some weird outfit from Amazon. It looks really ill-fitting and off. I know this sounds like really minute, but I just think she doesn't even have a personal style anymore because Ben controls all of it. Anyway, I think the end part says so much. And I'm glad that Courtney has gotten away, has helped her kids, has gotten job, is doing better, and is standing up for herself. And I think we should let people, I'd like to let her know that. And I hope that Grace can be free because Grace is really smart and has a lot, I think, to offer the world. But I think she's really afraid. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll do this more, just thanks to the small little community of people we have here that were in the chat the whole time. Thanks to like Shamu, Tenderman, everyone for just being supportive and helping out. So thanks to everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye. See you guys soon. Bye.